Hello and welcome to the Single Mama's Guide podcast. I'm your host, Kenya Moses, your wealth and well-being expert. And today I have on the show, Sherry Gaba. She's a licensed psychotherapist and life coach and a leading expert on addiction and recovery. She's been featured on CNN, Inside Edition, Women's World Magazine, Cosmopolitan, and more. Sherry is also a single mother and the author of the best-selling book, The Law of Sobriety, and the Marriage and Relationship Junkie, Kicking Your Obsession. Let's welcome Sherry Gaba. Thank you so much, Sherry, for joining me today. I'm so excited to have you here. Now, today is a little interesting because we're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects, and that's love. And, you know, we think of love, I think, especially as single mothers, single parents, we think of it as a hardship, right? We're single for a reason. And whether it's we chose to be a single parent or we're divorced, like myself, I was divorced. And for many, many years, I did not date at all. And I think I actually went on 1 or 2 dates. And I think the capacity to open yourself up, to meet someone, to be in a relationship with them is hard enough. But when you're actually in that relationship, how can you maintain your autonomy and also your being sane? You know, how do you be sane and not go into codependency mode and not go into, I need this person to meld into my life and meld into my family. So I'm really excited to have Sherry here, and hopefully she can answer some of those questions that I have. And then I'm sure she's going to answer many, many, many more. So thank you so much again, Sherry, for being here.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me, and thank you for bringing this subject out in the world. It's, actually, I went back to graduate school to become a therapist because I wanted to help single moms. My career kind of went in a different direction, but I love that there are so many platforms out there like yours that really can offer support because, back 33 years ago, they didn't have these support systems out there like they are today. We had support groups and we had therapists and so forth. But now, there's so much great information to help, support single moms and single parents. So I'm really grateful for what you're doing.
Wonderful. So, okay. So your area of expertise is addiction, right? Mm-hmm. If I'm correct. Wonderful. So, and since we're talking about love today, tell me a little bit about what it means to be addicted to love.
So, there's healthy love and then there's unhealthy love. So love addiction is more like a process addiction. You have substance abuse addiction, which is one of my specialties, which is drugs and alcohol. And then you have what's known as process addictions. So love addiction, codependency, there could be food, binge eating, sex addiction. You could be addicted to exercise. You could be addicted to internet. You could be addicted to dating. You could be addicted to gaming, shopping, spending. Anything that isn't a substance.
Right.
And it means becoming really addicted to a mood-altering activity and behavior that creates actually the identical euphoric states of a mood-altering substance. Wow. So the relationship is the person's only identity. And when a breakup occurs, there's that longing, that withdrawal phase, just like a substance abuse or heroin addict would need a fix. It's the same with a relationship or love addict. They feel really empty. They feel really alone. They feel like they almost feel like they're going to die if they're not in another relationship. Mm-hmm. The addictive lover longs for this attachment and pleasurable feeling of a lost relationship, just as much as a drug user craves a drug. So that is what I identify as a love addict and a codependent in recovery. And I just kept trying to fill my little family void and my void with, the next relationship. And, it's interesting. I found when I was a young single mom, there were two kinds of single moms. There were the ones that didn't date at all. Maybe that's what your category was.
Yes.
And then people like me that dated a lot and, just tried to create this illusion of what I thought a family was. And really, I was a family all along with me and my daughter.
Right. But
I had bought into a lot of the the culture norms of what a real family was. And remember, in those days, there wasn't the support. I was shunned. My daughter went to a private school, so you had a lot of 2-parent wealthy families. And I just was not included. I was looked down upon. My daughter was often not included. I remember it's funny that we're doing this interview right around Halloween. Mm-hmm. Halloween was such a difficult time because she wouldn't get invited to go with the other children. It was like we were really outcasts.
Yeah.
A single mom. So of course, because of that, maybe that was also part of the reason I wouldn't say the whole reason. Most of the reason was because I felt so empty without someone, which came from early trauma. But it was just filling that void, trying to fill that void of what I perceived as what a family should be, and filling that empty void.
Wonderful. So when you're in this relationship, so you find this person and you have an inkling that, okay, maybe I'm being a little obsessive, right? So what are some cues, or what are some symptoms and signs that can tell us, you know what, you might be a little addicted to this relationship and not necessarily growing with the relationship?
So the signs of love addiction are over adapting to what others want, and having no sense of boundaries, not even knowing the word no, like everything is yes. You just don't even know how to say no.
Mm-hmm.
A fear of letting go of this person, even if the person isn't right for you. A fear of the unknown, always afraid of what is going to be, kind of future tripping, what if. An attempt to change others, not really accepting that person for who they are. Needing others to feel whole. Looking for others for affirmation and worth and self-validation. The big one, and that was my biggie, was fearing abandonment. Having those withdrawal symptoms when that person is breaks up with you. And really giving up who you are out of the fear that you'll lose someone or need their approval. So, really just kind of losing parts of yourself to please the other person. I mean, you will do anything to be connected and bonded to another person. And that's really what love addiction is. And, the reason I wrote the book, The Marriage and Relationship Junkie, was to really eradicate the stigma around multiple relationships and multiple marriages. Because it was really embarrassing for me to say, oh yeah, I've been married 4 times. It just was so embarrassing. And it really isn't, I'm not being a victim. It's not really about being a victim. It's that there are reasons that I grew up the way I grew up, the way I came into the world, that caused me to have these really painful abandonment and separation anxiety issues. And so a lot of people that may be listening to this go, yeah, and always on these dating apps, and I always have to find someone. And when they reject me, I feel so horrible. And it's like, okay, well, let's kind of break this down and see what's really going on here. It's not about, oh, I'll hire a dating coach and, learn how to date successfully. It's more about what's going on underneath inside of me that keeps me kind of stuck in this vortex of going through relationship after relationship, date after date.
Right. So it's safe to say that the way we move in our relationships can have a direct correlation with, trauma in our earlier life, current life, and just how we've been accustomed to experiencing relationships and love.
100%. I mean, my early trauma was I was in an incubator. I was premature. I was 3 months early. My mother did not, I'm in my 50s. So in those days, they didn't allow moms to touch, bond, connect, hold, any of that stuff. She had to look at me through, a maternity, I guess you call it, what do you call those? I always forget the word for an incubator maternity ward. Well, anyway.
NICU?
NICU, right. Thank you, Kenya. Yeah, she would, only be able to look through the window and not really like pick me up or hold me for 3 months. And nowadays, like they bring social workers home and nurses home with you. So you learn how to nurture and touch and hold and connect, because they realize that these babies need a lot of extra care. Well, not only did I not get the extra care, I did not get any of that early attachment. So that set me up for a lifetime of looking for connection any way I could find it. I mean, it was just a desperate need, a craving for love. And it started from the day one. And although my parents loved me, there were other issues. My mother worked, which is common, but she was not around a lot. She was unavailable. She was exhausted. She didn't have any help. So it was, it was really very hard for her to give me the attention even as I grew. So, I just remember being a kid and going to private school and waiting for her to pick me up at 6 o'clock and feeling like, oh, how come all the other kids are leaving earlier and I'm sitting here alone? I mean, it was just a perfect storm for me to just be in this constant search for love. And I made a lot of errors in my life because of this. And that's another thing. I just really want to help people see that They don't have to settle. They don't have to make the mistakes. And I don't say mistakes because they're learning lessons, but you can find someone that you're worthy of and do the hard, do the work so that you can be alone, that you can be single and be happy.
Right.
So,
Wonderful.
and
That's really
yeah, I don't know if you want me to go into other issues around trauma that other people could be experiencing and why they have.
definitely. I'm definitely interested in that. Please share.
You could be someone that had unavailable parents. You might have had parents that were addicts or alcoholics, and they just weren't available physically or emotionally. They just weren't capable of being there for you because their substances became what was more important to them. You might have been a parentified child where you had to be the little adult because your parents were neglectful and didn't know how to take care of you properly. It's just not getting the needs that you needed when you were a child. Your needs were just not met. You might have been abandoned by a parent. You might have come from a family where there was a divorce, single parenting, so that, you didn't know. I mean, again, it's not to, because I was a single mom, you were a single mom. I mean, it's about sometimes you can't do it all. And so your child does miss out on all that it can get because, we need a community. We need a village, as Hillary Clinton used to say, to raise children.
It takes a village.
You could have come from neglect. You could have come from abuse. Your parents might have physically abused you. You might have been, God forbid, molested. There's just all kinds of things that could have happened to you in your life that set you up for not feeling whole, for always craving another person to make you feel whole. Love addiction comes from not being enough, not having enough. It's an unconscious attempt to satisfy that developmental hunger that, for something to belong. And so we're always looking outside ourselves to fix our fear and our pain and our discomfort.
Yes, it's so true. I've personally been seeing someone for a little bit over a year, and this is my, you wait for someone or you're not really waiting, but it happens and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm in this relationship and this is, for me, it's wonderful. But then I start noticing these things. I'm like, this is actually the perfect interview to be doing today because I'm going through something right now.
Okay. I'll be your therapist today. That's not a problem.
But just more, it was just perfect timing. It's like, this is the perfect interview. So whatever she's going to say is going to be perfect for me. But I notice, sometimes I find myself that whole, the fear of abandonment, right? That's a big issue. And if I look at my history, if I look at my upbringing, it all makes sense, and all the patterns that I've had with previous relationships and looking at those, it's very clear why those didn't work or my behavior in that relationship and why, the people that I drew to myself. And so it's very, very interesting to hear you talk about this and just kind of be able to reflect on what what has happened in the past and what's currently happening, but also know that, okay, you know what, be able to look at the situation and say, okay, you're like on the borderline of obsession.
Yeah. Okay. So, if you do have a history of trauma, there's some really great methods out there to help you with trauma. And I highly recommend that. That's the work that I did about 10 years ago. And now I help others deal with the trauma. And it's a program. There's a book out there called Waking the Tiger, and it's all about, managing this trauma. And the modality is called somatic experiencing. And so it teaches you how to get back in your body so that you feel good within yourself. Because if you're not feeling whole in your body, then you're always reaching outside of yourself to feel whole. And so that may be what the terror is that you're going through right now, is you're not, even though you might have done a lot of work in terms of talk therapy or reading or, blah, 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 but you haven't really actually been able to get rid of old trauma that is from old issues like abandonment or whatever your issue is.
Right.
So I highly recommend people do the trauma work, either the work that I do, somatic experiencing, and people can find me at sherrygaba.com if that interests them, or there's EMDR, eye movement desensitization. That's a way to deal with trauma. There's tapping. Tapping is a really great modality, I think, for as needed. Like if you're in the moment and you're obsessing and you can't get that thought out of your mind, highly recommend tapping. I mean, tapping is like taking a tranquilizer. It really is, only not taking a tranquilizer.
Right.
It moves energy. So if you're feeling stuck in this loop of oh my God, where is he? He doesn't love me. He doesn't want me. He's going to leave me, blah, 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 blah. You sit there and you do a round of tapping, and guarantee those thought patterns will shift. The energy in your body will move. The chi in your body will move, and you'll be feeling okay again. Because it's real. It's a real feeling. Like when you're scared, you're like that little girl again that's been left behind, or whatever your issue is.
Yeah.
For me, I was that little baby in the incubator waiting for someone to pick me up.
Yeah.
So be compassionate, that this isn't like you're a crazy person, or you're neurotic or anything like that. And I'm talking to you, and I'm talking to your audience. It's really about something might have occurred in your life. It's not about being a victim. It's just about, let's release that toxic energy that is still stuck inside of you, that's making you feel so uncomfortable.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. So with that said, how can we, those who are currently in a relationship or intend on being in a relationship, how can we make sure our passion for our partners stays within a healthy territory?
So you want to know, like, is it still a healthy relationship?
Right. And how can we, if we feel like it's in a healthy stage, right, how can we maintain that and not go back to our old habits?
Well, I think I can just describe to you what I think healthy love is and what unhealthy love is.
Please do.
So in healthy relationships, when couples, first meet, they definitely idealize each other as they are forming this attachment.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happens is love matures, and then it's supposed to become a little less intense, but much more secure. Mm-hmm. And that was where I would have a problem, because then suddenly it would become, oh, this is boring. I might even be going through that right now. I'm also dating someone, and it's been 7 months. Mm-hmm. And now I'm in that, oh, this was really healthy. And now I'm getting like, I'm missing that, that euphoria, that feeling of new love. And that's when you got to really kind of like, slow it down and go, what's really going on here? What is it I'm really needing? What is going on in my life that I'm expecting another person to make me feel those feelings? When really it should come from myself. It's not up to them to give me that euphoric feeling. I mean, euphoric feelings do not, it doesn't last. I mean, that's just the nature. It's just the nature of love. Mm-hmm. So anyway, if it's healthy, trust develops alongside love. People with marriage and relationship addiction, though, they never get past that initial stage of falling in love. And they idealize the person they're in love with, but never actually feel secure enough to trust them. Mm-hmm. So then they become dependent on the person they love in an unrealistic way, hoping somehow this person's going to create a happily ever after for them. Mm-hmm. So for me right now, I'm in that phase where I have a choice. I could say, okay, I'm going to go run to the next goodie, the next something better out there, mm-hmm. so I can get those good, juicy feelings again. Or do I sit and slow it down and go, okay, this is a really great guy, and this is a really great relationship. So how can I make myself feel good about me, instead of thinking it's up to him to give me those juicy feelings?
Right.
Because it isn't up to him. It's up to me. So it's unrealistic to expect anyone else to create a satisfying life for you. Inevitably, you're going to be disappointed. Their relationships are ultimately never truly satisfying, yet they seem to live without them. They can't live without them. They're not based on healthy bonds, but on psychological bondage. So it's getting out of that dependent phase and moving into healthy love, where it's like slow and steady love, like it's trustworthy, it's nurturing, there's communication, there's healthy intimacy. There isn't this like crazy up and down feeling all the time, which is generally what my relationships were filled with, up and down, up and down. Mm-hmm. And that was what I was used to growing up and how I saw the world. That was normal. But that isn't necessarily healthy love.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's so me.
Yeah, I mean, it's really fun to and even the guy that I'm dating right now, I can't even tell you that I had those oh my God feelings when it began. Mm-hmm. But I like that. I like the feeling like, God, this feels healthier. This is, of course I was attracted to him, but I just wanted someone that could be more like a companion, someone that could be more like, a friend and lover, not just somebody that I'm goo goo gaga and can't get past that.
Yeah.
Like, that just doesn't work for me anymore. And please, I'm not saying that you can't have those feelings when you first fall in love. I mean, I think that can happen. But the point I'm making is it really needs to morph into something calmer, something, more trustworthy, something slow and steady rather than always being crazy. Unless that's how you want to, live in your life, is crazy making, which I'm kind of over that.
Yeah. You get to a certain point and it's like, yeah, no.
I'm just calmer now. I'm more at ease. I feel good about me. I don't need anybody else really to make me feel good about me. I'm not lying. Sometimes, you miss that euphoric state, but that's where you have to kind of use your brain and not just your heart, or not just your, whatever, and say, look, this is, that's when you have to really make a conscious choice. What is it that will make me feel good in the long run? What is conscious love for me? And what does that look like? And do I need to have that goo goo gaga all the time? I don't think so. That never worked for me. That's why I had 4 divorces. So that's just my take. But I respect everybody. Everybody is looking for different things.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, so now we've talked a little bit about healthy love and maintaining that healthy relationship. How do you feel about the way the media, shares love? So for me, when I look at love, everything's super anxious, right? Everything is
super high intensity.
Yes, exactly. That's perfect. Yes, high intensity. Always like, and oh yeah, please. If you
I mean, think of all the movies that that are the movies. Think about the songs that are out there. It's all about, high, low, high, low, high, low. I mean, we're actually like, we're set up that way. Our culture is set up that way. Never mind the fact that we might have grew up in a lot of trauma and ups and downs. Now we're in a culture where everything is high, low, high, low. But often media models overly obsessive relationships, I think, in music and film. Examples that reflect obsessive relationships are like that movie from a long time ago. I don't know if you remember the movie Fatal Attraction.
I do.
Michael Douglas and Glenn Close portray characters who have this weekend affair that turns into a nightmare. And Douglas plays a married man who's on his one-time fling with this Alex turns into a dirty game. As Forrest performs, she starts performing violence acts, including attempting suicide in order to stay in his life. I mean, that's crazy making. And that's the kind of stuff that's out there. Another example is the movie Obsessed with Ali Later, where she pushes the envelope to show her coworker, played by Idris Elba, that she's never letting go no matter what, even if Elba is married to Beyonce in the film. I don't know if you saw that movie.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah. But it's just obsessive. Think about Cinderella. I mean, has that really changed? I don't think so. I mean, it's all about someone else is going to rescue us. Someone else is going to take care of us. Someone else is going to make us feel secure. Someone else is going to make us happy. I mean, love, I'm not denying love. I think love is the answer. But I think for sustainability, we need healthier role models, healthier love, healthier ways of looking at things. But society just isn't set up that way. Society is set up for that high intensity. That's how they sell movies. That's how they sell songs.
Definitely. So if you were to give just a few tips on, for all our single mothers out there, so if we have single mamas who are looking to start dating, to get out there in the world, what are a few tips that you might have for them who may have experience being a little bit addicted and obsessed in their relationships, how they can move forward with confidence and not feel overwhelmed by the idea of finding love?
Well, I would say this, that the way the laws of the universe work is that you have to believe healthy love is on its way. You have to believe that you're worthy of it. And you have to feel good within yourself being single and on your own. I mean, after my last divorce, I spent 4 years really getting to know me, doing the trauma work. I took up canoeing. I made new friends. I joined a 12-step meeting because I had been married to an alcoholic, so I made new friends in Al-Anon. I really built a life for myself, a life I'd never built, so that when I was ready to date, I had a life. I wasn't expecting that person to make my life. I had a life. And even though I would get lonely at times, sure, I was content being alone. I knew no matter what, I could be single. And there was a time in my life that I really did not believe I could be happy and single. So that would be my best advice, is to really be happy and single and allow love to show up. Believe that you're worthy of it. Don't tell yourself all those messages like, oh, no one's going to want me. I'm a single mom. They're not going to want my kids. They're not going to want me. I'm too old. Or there's not enough men out there, or not enough good men out there, or all the good men are married. I mean, you have to stop saying all of those messages, those scripts, because when you do that, you're just drawing more of that in. You've got to draw in that there is a healthy person out there, and he's on his way. Maybe not on my time frame, but he's on, he's on his way.
Beautifully said.
I mean, make a list of important traits you want in a partner. I don't know if you want me to go on, but that's
sure.
The universal laws of love will create the energy for the universe to bring you those things in a partner. So really affirm your attention to the universe, that the ideal partner is on their way, and you will attract, and have faith. The universe will do its part to bring that to you. And when you put that out to the universe, like I was saying earlier, you'll never meet anybody. You're putting out negative vibration. You really want to bring up your high vibration. It tells the universe, if you are being negative, that you're fearful and you're angry, and in essence, you're saying you don't trust the universe. So just like we trust the sun's going to come up in the morning and it's going to go down at night, you've got to trust that love is on its way. Recognize the stories that you keep creating over and over again, not trusting the universal laws. Remember, what you put out to the universe expands, and by putting out fears, you'll never meet anybody. You're expanding all your energy in that story. So rewrite the script that somebody really great is on their way. I mean, being divorced so many times, a lot of my script was, I'm just going to, have another failed relationship. And, lo and behold, that's exactly what occurred. And I was working off fear rather than from wholeness and security. And once I was able to do that, I attracted somebody really great and healthy.
Beautiful. Okay, Sherry. So if our listeners want to get a hold of you, how do they find you?
Okay, so my book is called The Marriage and Relationship Junkie, Kicking Your Obsession, and it's on Amazon. So definitely check that out. If you want to take a love addiction quiz, I have a quiz on my website, SherryGaba.com. That's Sherry Gaba, SherryGaba.com. So I have a love addiction quiz there. I have a free ebook there. I have another ebook on codependency and a quiz to see if you're codependent. I've got tons of blogs. I just, Google my name. I'm everywhere. I've been around, a long time in the media and so forth. So you'll find me everywhere, and I have a contact page on my website. So definitely, contact me if you think that working with me would be helpful for you in learning how to, get rid of some of this trauma and attract healthy love into your life. I'm not a dating coach. I'm not going to tell you how to go out there and be beautiful so you find this great person. That's not my thing. I'm really more about, let's unearth what's going on so that you will be a magnet for something wonderful.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Sherry, for being on the Single Mama's Guide podcast. I learned so much. You're so insightful, and I'm going to go and check out the website. And whenever I find myself getting a little obsessed, I'm going to reach out to you, read your material. Definitely going to get my hands on your book. And I wish you all the best. You're amazing. Thank you again for being here. I'm going to put all of your information on the website so listeners can grab all that information you just told us right on the website. So thank you so much.
Kenya. Thank you, and good luck to you, and thank you for what you're doing for the world, for single parents and single moms. It's fantastic.
You're very welcome. I'll see you again soon. Bye. If you enjoyed this episode of the Single Mama's Guide podcast, be sure to subscribe on iTunes and Google Play. Share your insights, takeaways, and inspiration by following the Single Mama's Guide on Instagram and Facebook.